Hello, hello. Testing. Hey, everybody. Having some technical issues. I'm going to try and get everybody in the chat to come over here, and we'll try to get through your questions. That way, technical stuff happens. So bear with me. Thank you, Matthew. Hello, Charles. Hello, Toronto Dave. Hello, people. Thank you for making it here. I'm doing a little adjusting on the fly here, so bear with me if you would not mind. I appreciate you. Just always a battle. And we'll get through this, and we'll get your questions answered as soon as I get everyone over here. Good morning, Albert. So if you, I'm typing and talking at the same time. All right, so I have to change some of my setup here to see everything and make everything happen. We're not in the studio. That's the issue. So green screen can come down. Oh, look, I like to have a regular place. Who knew? How's everyone doing today? If you go, I'm going to tell everyone in the chat to go to the main page and go out and check the live stream page there. And maybe we can pull this off. There we go. Look at here. Oh, almost like I knew what I was doing. I'm getting there, people. Just give me another minute or two and I'll have this all figured out. And get everyone over to the other room. So let's see how I'm going to do that. So you can start putting some questions in if you'd like. I'll get to them. I see a bunch of questions in the other chat, so I might, go back and forth between the other one and this one, just to see if I can make things work out a little bit. Technology. Hello, Dave. Thank you for making it. Glad everyone's kind of figuring out what's going on. We'll get this sorted out here shortly, and I'll start answering the questions. There we go. Go there, go there, go there. So there we go. So let me type in a message here and see if I can get people over. Mr. Scampers, Pedro, you made it. I am doing Jesse, there's everyone showing up. Glad you're making it. Sorry again for the hassles. We'll work through all this and be just fine here. Yes, apologies, but repost your questions there. All right. I hope everyone makes it over. Apologies again for the issues. Stuff happens. You know how it is. I see people piling in here, and I see some of you are making it. Scott, Jesse, Dame, Scampers. Thank you, everyone, for making it, bearing with me as I work through all this. We got things figured out. Just takes me a minute. I'm a little slow. All right, beautiful Saturday morning. It is Saturday morning. Hi, I'm Bob Harris. In case you didn't know, Football Diehards is the website. This is also the YouTube channel. We do this live stream every Saturday, and today is a little bit of a different live stream. So thanks for your patience again. Please hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, the like button. I see the likes are already coming in. I'm going to dislike me. Once again, apologies for the problems. We'll work through all this and get things squared away here. We're in the process of switching some software around. So we'll get this going. All right, so I'll start getting the questions. I'm going to check the other chat and see if I've chased everyone out of there. Okay. If you could back out to the main page and find the new stream, I'll get to your questions there. Almost like I knew what I was doing. All right, so I will come back to you all and get into the questions here. Hopefully everyone will get caught up. Hi, how are you? I'm Bob Harris. All right, and thanks everyone for coming and putting up with the difficulties. Scott has the first question in this chat. And if I get through all these and I work my way through, I'll get back to your other questions in the other chat and put them out there. So if you could watch the replay of this, again, apologies. Choose one. Rest of the season. Buffalo defense. Buffalo defense question first off the bat. Oh my gosh. So Buffalo's defense has not been playing great. Cleveland's defense has. I get it. Baltimore kind of tore them up in the first game. Lamar Jackson had a great game, in particular. I'm probably playing Cleveland rest of the season. I mean, maybe Buffalo this week, but I don't know that I'm really all that excited to play Buffalo. They're down a lot of pieces. They've been struggling to get the job done. So I'm probably going to dial back a little bit, and I'm probably just going to pick Cleveland with all its disruptive playmakers. I know Von Miller's coming back. Maybe that makes a difference but man, they're down too many pieces in the secondary, in the linebacking core. I'm going to stick with the Browns of Cleveland. Jesse needs one: Brian Robinson, Ford, or Jaylen Warren. Boy, Brian Robinson just hasn't been working out, right? The volume has been an issue for him. The passing volume, I should say, has kind of been a limiting factor for him. I mean, he's okay. He can score touchdowns. Do I like the matchup this week that much? I mean, against Seattle, it's in Seattle. I think it's going to be another pass-heavy day. That said, I'm not that guy. So I have issues with Ford. Jerome Ford, and this might be a Bob Harris problem more than a Jerome Ford problem. I just find him to be very inefficient, right? He's gets plenty of work, does very little with it. If he gets to get the touchdown, you're pretty happy that you got the touchdown. So that's a tough one for me. I'm probably leaning Robinson in this one. And maybe Jaylen Warren is the right answer. I feel like also Najee Harris is coming on a little bit, and I feel like maybe this matchup in particular favors him a little bit. I'm going to go with the algorithm is kind of agreeing with me here. Actually, the algorithm likes Jaylen Warren. So is this a PPR? If this is PPR, I am going to go Warren, slightly into Warren over Robinson, and then Ford third. They're all ranked consecutively, Jesse. Hello, Kevin Payne. How confident are we in Chase? Not extremely confident. Diana Rossini just put out an X post moments ago indicating that he's a true game time decision, right? My gut feeling is he's going to play. As Zach Taylor said, he looked good in practice yesterday, but obviously nothing is set in stone, right? So we'll have to figure this out on the fly. I think oh, that looks great. I think my feeling is he'll go, but am I extremely confident? Like confidence level? I don't like your alternative, so I'm obviously going to wait. It's an early kickoff, so you'll have a pretty good idea, in advance, and you'll probably know if you listen to the pregame show on Sirius. I'm on that. Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio with Jeff Mans. You'll have a pretty good idea going in what's going on. You won't know about Douglas. I mean, obviously, if you feel like you want to play him, Powell against the Saints though that's a pretty deep draw, right? I would wait. I would play this out. If you're a subscriber to the website, I'll have more information up overnight. But I just put up one now that he's a true game time decision, so we might not know until like 90 minutes before kickoff, which would preclude you from playing Douglas. So we'll hear if we hear something overnight. I would check. Kevin, I don't know if you're up early enough to check the inactives. I mean, Douglas is questionable too, right? So I'm pretty confident he's going to play. But this is a tough situation. You may end up having to go with Powell. Hello, Pedro. Seriously thinking of sitting Flowers for Kyle Phillips. I get it. I'm not going that far myself. I should probably look at Phillips numbers. I mean, is the roll been robust enough for Phillips? I mean, you know, I don't want to overstate the case because Flowers has been on a little bit of a skid, right? But the volume's still there. I think I'm gonna stick with the volume, right? Last couple of games, what do we got? 4 or 5 targets, 3 targets, 2 targets, 1 target. Got 11 targets on the year, Kyle Phillips. Obviously, it was hurt a lot, but the last 3 weeks, it's been what, 10 targets over 3 games. I'm going to probably go ahead and just stick with Zay Flowers and hope for the best. But I do get it if you're trying to shake it up, Pedro, and I know you like to shake it up. Man, it's a. So again, we were looking at last week's game. We're looking at C.J. Stroud just tearing the Buccaneers apart. So I certainly get it, man. I'm not going to tell you not to. I'm going to tell you I definitely would not. Jesse. Hurts on a bye, need to pick up 1. Kyler Murray, Mayfield, Carr, or Minshew. I'd probably lean Carr in this one. Just check that with the rankings. See if the rankings agree with me. I think they do. Carr or Mayfield. Yeah, Mayfield's right up there. Minshew's next up on the list. So yeah, I think that's probably the order I do them. Like Kyler Murray, I have ahead. If I have like reasonable options, and I do have Murray slightly ahead of those guys, well, I'd rather give it a week to breathe. I would like to grab Murray and roster him for the rest of the season. Okay, went to the homepage of sports. Okay, go to the main page. Let me help someone out in the YouTube section, people here. I don't know if it'll let me do this. I feel bad that people are getting left out, but there's nothing I can do about it. Dang it. Let's see if I can post a link. I don't know if it'll let me. Sorry for the hassles. Go there, and you will see. There, I think I did it. There we go. Almost like I plugged it up. Hey, Wendy. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your patience working through the issues with me. All right, back to it. So I mean, like, just for the record, my rankings order is Kyler Murray, Carr, Mayfield, and Minshew. If Jesse, you feel confident. I mean, it's been 330 days since Kyler Murray plays. He's in an offense he's never played in. Do we catch lightning in a bottle against this Atlanta defense? Maybe so. I know Matthew Berry put this out there in his love-hate this week, and I agree with it. I mean, 30% of his fantasy production has come from his rushing. Do we expect him to be full go as a runner this first week back? I don't know that we do. So I feel like Carr's maybe a little safer. I feel like Baker Mayfield's a solid play too against the Tennessee defense. So, if you're feeling a little aggressive, go ahead and do it. If not, I think Carr and Mayfield are safer plays. It gets worse for Pedro, people. It gets worse. Worse than Kyle Phillips over Zay Flowers. Very scared of Baltimore-Cleveland game. You know what? Well, so you're setting the expectation here. You're very scared. I mean, if you're scared and you want to stay away from it, then definitely these are the things you should do. Again, I will continue to stress all of this. Play your hunches, right? If you have a hunch, play your hunch. Don't play my hunch, because if you play my hunch and your hunch was right, you're going to be angry at me and angry at you. If you play your hunch and you're wrong, you're only going to be angry at you. I think that's what I'm going for, right? All right. So need a wide receiver to flex. Trey McBride, Jerome Ford, Flowers, Kyle Phillips. So again, you have set the predicate here. You have made the baseline decision that you're very scared, not scared, very scared of the Baltimore-Cleveland game. Last time they played, by the way, was 28 or 29-3. Lamar Jackson had a great game. So, I mean, offense was had in the last game. I mean, things change week to week. Weird stuff happens in the NFL. But I get the fear. So, yes, Trey McBride seems perfectly reasonable. I think Phillips is a bit of a stretch over either of these two. Like, Jerome Ford's going to get 15-plus touches, right? who knows what might happen on those 15 touches? If Kyle Phillips gets 5 targets, which he's like has been the high side of what he's getting, maybe he does something with those. I'm going to take my chances with the more rather than the fewer, even in a tough matchup. So I guess that's where I'm at, Pedro. I hope that helps you out. But I get it. I mean, like, again, play your hunch over my hunch. If you have this hunch that this is going to be a zero-sum game here and there's going to be no scoring, I mean, I understand that. So feel free to avoid. All right. Dominic, you found me. Thank you. I hope John Fusek finds me. I'm going to watch down at the bottom of the chat and see. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad you hear me. Hopefully, there's John Fusek. Finally figured it out. There we go. Glad you made it in. So we'll get. I think we've got everything kind of squared away on the issues, and we'll roll on from here. Whew. All right. Let's see. Howell or Lawrence, Jesse says. Simple question. So I think I ranked them consecutively as well. I have Howell one ahead of Lawrence. It's volume-based. Howell is throwing the ball a hell of a lot. Trevor Lawrence, San Francisco matchup, a little bit daunting, but obviously teams have gotten the better of that, says Joe Burrow. So, it's not like so stout that I would not play Lawrence, but I have Howell one ahead in the rankings, and I think that's reasonable. Again, this is a volume-based play. What do we, I've said this before. I'll say this again because I like to repeat myself, especially when it's correct. Volume is the wellspring of fantasy production, right? Without volume, you don't get it. So up to this point, the number of dropbacks for Sam Howell has been fantastic, right? So that's what I'm playing. It's a slight, they're again ranked consecutively, both inside the top 10. They're 8 and 9 this week. So there is not a wrong answer, Jesse. That's my answer. Have to wait another week for Fields, says Pedro. Any thoughts on what to expect post-injury? How optimistic should I be rolling with Dobbs or for now? Like, I think Dobbs is a reasonable fallback. The thing that I would remind people about Dobbs was he got off to a great start in Arizona, and then it kind of tailed off. I think people figure things out. Also, nobody prepared for him last week, right? So he comes into the game cold, so the team doesn't have, they're prepared for something. I don't know how prepared they were for Jalen Hall. Maybe not that much, or maybe they're just the generic game plan. But Dobbs brings that rushing ability that makes him a viable play any week, right? So I think that's perfectly fine. I do think Fields, I mean, we saw the upside as he was, before he was hurt, he was putting up huge numbers. Maybe he's sat back and look, he's on audition, right? The rest of the season, they need to find out what they have in him and what their plan is going forward. They're going to have a very high draft pick, thanks to no part to their own selves for beating Carolina Panthers, right? So good for them for getting that done. So Dobbs is okay for now. Like I do have concerns over the long term, and for the pieces around him, I wonder how efficient he's going to be. But for now, I mean, I think he's a viable play. Dominic Conti, found you. Thank you for finding me. I appreciate that so much. So on my waivers, I have Charbonnet and Chandler. Ty Chandler, your thoughts on which is better and worth a pickup? I think I had this phone call, or I had a similar call. No, who was it? It was not Ty Chandler. It was somebody else. And the answer was Charbonnet, and it was a much better option, I want to say, than Chandler, right? Like, you're looking for somebody a step away from a feature role. It's definitely, Charbonnet. It's probably Chandler at the moment, right? Because there is no Cam Akers. But the Seattle offense, I'd rather have a piece. Charbonnet's the better player and in a better spot. I think, if I thought, and just should note that I think each of the last 2 weeks, Charbonnet's actually had more than half the snaps. So Keaton Mitchell will play, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. There's good news for the Keaton bits in my lineups right now. All right, so a little breaking news here. Keaton Mitchell will play per Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. That is good news. So yeah, Charbonnet for me. Jason Wilson, and we're back, or we're here. Need one of this group in a PPR. James Cook versus Broncos, Jahmyr Gibbs versus Chargers, or Tank Dell versus Bengals. I'm probably still playing Jahmyr Gibbs. That might be my over-enthusiastic endorsements heading into the season. It does seem like they're going to split the workload more so than they did prior to David Montgomery's injury. maybe they're slower to bring Montgomery back, or they could feel like they can work him in a little better. But Ben Johnson has basically said they're going to share the workload. That could put people in a hot hand situation, which is a little bit of a concern. Maybe they'll use them both more together. If that's a concern for you, I would play Tank Dell over James Cook. And this is a problem I have. I have a blind spot for James Cook, right? I just don't feel great about it. The numbers, he kind of, is a between the 20s guy. The 20s in, he doesn't seem to have a great role. And I guess at some point, I'm a little concerned that Leonard Fournette gets a shot and maybe is a little more effective as a runner. And we've seen him be fairly effective as a receiver, at least with Tom Brady as his quarterback. So, we won't know that probably until Monday on Fournette anyway. But I'm going to go Gibbs, Tank Dell, and Cook in that order. How big of a jump does Boyd get this week for the Eagles? Almost as big as Trenton Irwin's, Kevin Payne. Trenton Irwin's been pretty good, I want to say, without T. Higgins, or at least has had his moments without T. Higgins. Boyd gets a big bump, obviously, especially if there's no Chase as well. Geno or Howell, Jesse says. I'm playing Howell this week over Geno. Geno is right outside the range that you asked last time. It was Howell, Lawrence. My rankings are right now. It's 9 Howell, 10 Lawrence, 11 Geno Smith. So there we go. Hey, everybody. A little reminder, I'm Bob Harris. Sorry for the screw ups with the technology and changing the streams, but we are here and we got your questions and we'll dial them up for the rest of the hour. Hi, Steve Pavia. Thanks for coming. Otto, Irv Smith. I think you mean Otten, Irv Smith, or Pitts. There, is that where we're at? I think that's probably where we're at. Oh my goodness. So Otten's been okay the last couple of weeks, right? He's been very serviceable, certainly playable. I think he's probably playable again. Irv Smith had an okay week last week, but he seems like he's one of three guys. Maybe all three of those guys feast a little more. It's Smith, it's Sample, and Tanner Hudson. It seems to catch nothing but first downs. I'm probably going to go ahead and take my chances with Kyle Pitts in this one. And I don't feel great about it. He's not like what I would consider a tight end one. If you wanted one of the others, or you just want to avoid Pitts, it would be Otten for sure against Tennessee. Hi, Steve Lindor. Need to sit one running back out of these four. Monty versus Chargers, Brian Robinson versus Seahawks, James Conner if cleared versus Falcons, Rashad White versus Titans. I would probably dial back on James Conner in this case, right? First game back. And I do think he'll be back, but you'll know that. Maybe this decision is made for you. Seems like they've cleared the decks for him. They got rid of Tony Jones Jr. They got rid of Damian Williams, waived him injured off the practice squad. So Keontae Ingram's still there. Emari DeMarcado has been ruled out this week, so there's no DeMarcado. So, my feeling is Connor's going to be back, but if you have these other options in here, why press your luck? Why press the issue? Give him a week, see how it comes. Jesse, another question. Ford or Jerome, like both players that I don't look very much. I probably like James Cook better than I like Ford. I feel like, is my first gut reaction. Let me just check what the rankings. The algorithm might not agree with me. It doesn't always. Yeah, they like it. They like it a little better too. So it is going to be Cook over Ford. Because one of those is not playing the Baltimore Ravens defense, which is fantastic. I will say Denver's defense is getting better. Geno Smith versus Washington or Brock Purdy at Jacksonville? I'm playing Brock Purdy in this one. I think it's reasonable matchups for reasonably okay for both passing attacks, right? Geno Smith has not looked exactly like Geno Smith. Neither has Brock Purdy looked exactly like Brock Purdy. I'm hoping Deebo Samuel is back this week. I had some numbers here. See if I got them up in front of me. Had some numbers here. With Deebo Samuel in the mix, in the games with Deebo Samuel, 5 games with Deebo this season, Purdy's averaging nearly 20 points, fantasy points per game. This is Matthew Berry pointed this out this week. The Jaguars have allowed the 3rd most passing yards per game and the 6th most points per game allowed to quarterbacks. I think that's pretty reasonable. I'm going that way. Mr. Scampers wouldn't be Saturday morning without Bob Harris. Well, thank you, Mr. Scampers. It would be Saturday without you and Dame Overboard. The cats are fantastic. Both asleep right now nearby. I can hear them snoring. Can you hear that? Oh, my haircut. They are snoozing away. Thank you for asking, Ann. They appreciate you. PPR League, says Steve Linder. I need one wide receiver and one flex. The choices are Hollywood Brown versus Falcons, Cortland Sutton versus Bills, Brian Robinson versus Seahawks, Devin Singletary versus Cincinnati. The wide receiver for me, I would probably give so of the things that so here's my issues with Kyler Murray are multiple, right? Hasn't played in a long time, has never played in this particular offense, has never played in an offense like this. He's been in an air raid basically since high school. But one thing he knows in this offense is Marquise Brown, his best friend and college teammate, and so I kind of feel okay about Hollywood Brown. I do like Cortland Sutton against the Bills though as well. So I think a slight lean to Murray there wouldn't talk you out of Sutton at all. As the receiver, might go with both of those guys actually. Might go with both receivers in this case. My concerns with Robinson again are the volume, especially if it's just been what is it like Brian Robinson done the last few weeks. He had the touchdown I know last week, but the workload seems like it's been a bit diminished. Let me just look here and see if that's just my own misperception. 18 carries last week. That was pretty good. 10, 8, 10, 6, 14. So he's been marginalized a bit in my estimation. So it's a little bit of concern. Like if he got 18 carries, I'd feel pretty good about that. If he got 10 carries, I'd feel less good about that. I'm probably going to go with wide receivers here. If you wanted to weed out one of the wide receivers, it'd be Sutton, and the guy I play would be Brian Robinson. There, I said it. Steve Linder. PPR, Goddard injury was a crusher, so for tight end this week, I go K. Otten versus Titans, or Smith, Musgrave versus Steelers, Juwan Johnson versus Vikes. I like them in the order of Otten. Maybe I like Musgrave a little better. I do like Otten a fair amount. Let me see what the numbers look like for Musgrave. Yeah, probably slight lean to Otten. I'd probably go Otten, Musgrave, and Smith. Again, I thought Irv Smith looked great, and maybe he does get more. Maybe the injuries are a bigger factor for him. Juwan Johnson, not so much. But maybe the injuries are a factor, but it's like a three-way split, and I'm not a fan of three-way splits. Oh, there, I screwed something up. Oh. Darn it. All right, so there you have it. Kevin Page, should we be concerned about things back? Yeah, but we'll know more today. Should have even more information when the injury report comes out, certainly after practice is done today. We'll know if he practiced. I don't see alarm bells going off or the local reporters in Buffalo howling that this is the worst thing they've ever seen or anything. So my guess is it's probably minor, but we'll know that today. As long as he's on the field on a limited basis, probably going to draw a questionable designation. Would like to see him fully cleared for a Monday night game. So this is something we'll know in a couple hours. Mr. Scampers. Okay. Oh, I missed one. I missed two. I missed a handful. What the hell's going on here? Oh my gosh. I think I scrolled down too far. I did. It's the dangers of YouTubing. Start Tyler Boyd versus Houston over. Yeah, I think so. Charles, especially if those other conditions, might even consider him if Chase plays. 2 likes in one day. Appreciate you there, rookie. What's your take on Pickens? Is he the squeaky wheel who will be targeted or just a pebble in the coach's shoe? I think I'd start him over Quentin Johnston for sure. And hope it's the former more so than the latter, right? He's had some big games before the lousy games, so I don't want to, I think he might be a little more upset than he needed to be. I just want to say, I want to just check it. It hasn't been great. I'll acknowledge that. It hasn't been great since Deontay Johnson's been back. Yeah, he had the 200-yard games in a row, and then it's been 2 lesser games. Last week, obviously, -1 yard is not what we were looking for. 2 catches, 5 targets. The week before, it was 1 catch on 5 targets. Prior to that, though, the 2 weeks prior to that, 5 on 8, 6 out of 10, 130 yards against Baltimore, pretty good defense, 107 yards against the Rams. So, and he's had previous 100-yard games before, right? It's heavily targeted. So my guess is he, maybe his quarterback views him as a squeakier wheel than his coach. I'm thinking he'll get a little bit of correction. I do like Deontay Johnson a lot. I like this week, though, too. But I would play either way. I'd play him over Quentin Johnston. PPR, two of these three wide receivers: Shaheed versus Vikings, Cortland Sutton versus Bills, and Mario Douglas versus Colts. In a vacuum, I like them Sutton, Douglas, Shaheed. If I'm swinging for the fence, I like Shaheed. Yeah, it's like it's kind of Dutton, Sutton. I combined them. Did you see what I did there? That's pretty impressive. Sutton and Douglas, I kind of like it is like mid-range wide receiver threes. Shaheed is right outside that range, just at the bottom of that range. But I mean, like if you're swinging for the fence and you feel like you need a huge game from somebody, I think he's more likely to give you a huge game. Like we've seen it, 3 catches, 153 yards a couple weeks ago. So I don't think that's the norm though. So I'm going with the safer plays. To me seem like, and Douglas, you'll have to watch, get up early and check the inactives because he is listed as questionable. Guillotine for Mr. Scampers. You're still alive. Have not been chopped yet. Would I bench Diggs versus Denver for either Hollywood or Godwin? Yeah, I probably. So if it's a questionable designation, yes, I probably want to play it safe, and it probably. I want to say I don't want to overstate the Marquise Brown love. I mean, just the rankings right now, we have them 18 for Brown, 20 for Godwin. It's a great matchup for Godwin. So, I mean, I think probably he might be the safest play. He's not done a ton with his work. He's gotten like more targets, more. I want to say it was like 62 to 60 on the targets, and the fantasy point with him and Evans and the fantasy points difference have been vast. I could do a little research quickly and find that number for you. Let's see. He's only had 77 yards once this season. His totals have decreased, but it's a good pass defense. I'm going to go ahead and play that. Godwin has 2 more targets, 62 this season, than Mike Evans has, and Evans has 60. So 62 to 60 for Godwin. Evans has 115 plus PPR points. Godwin has 92. So he's not getting as much mileage out of him, but I think he's a safer play if you're looking for that in the guillotine. So you got that. You got that going for you. So that's probably the direction I'd go, Scampers. And Dunn needs 2 in a PPR, tight end premium. Addison, Amari, Michael Thomas, Kincaid. We should talk about Michael Thomas being arrested last night. Doesn't sound like it'll impact him this week. Sounds like he'll play as usual, so that's good news. Happy to hear that. Threw some bricks in a car. Sounds like this has been an ongoing thing. You're going to hear the guy who's talking is the victim, or the guy. Michael Thomas threw some bricks at his truck. It's a contractor. Apparently, they're building a house next to Thomas's, and it's been an ongoing thing, and it's been building up. And Thomas doesn't like the workers, taking photos of him at his house, and he's seen them jiggling his car. It seems like there's a lot behind this. But anyway, he's going to play. So I like Kincaid in the tight end premium this week, and I'm not eager. I'm not like Pedro Resto scared of this matchup against Baltimore, but like I'd like to avoid it if I could. I might go Addison in this one. Addison over Amari. Andrea, need 2 flex. Addison versus New Orleans. Lockett versus Washington. Deontay Johnson versus Green Bay. Zay Flowers versus Cleveland. James Conner. Need 2 flexes. Deontay Johnson is one of my flexes, and probably Lockett is the other. That Washington pass defense. Those are it. Steve Linder, which is better defense to stream this week? Cincy D versus Texans or Colts D versus New England? Boy, like the New England offense has not been good. They're down some weapons too. I don't know that I'm targeting Joe Burrow as I tend to target quarterbacks and look for the weakness there. Joe Burrow is not the weakness I'm looking to target. In this one, it'd probably be Mac Jones. So I'd probably play the Colts defense. Baker or Russ? Carr or Howell? Trevor or Sam? So I think I did this one earlier. Trevor, I took Sam Howell over Trevor. I'm taking Howell over Carr. And am I playing Baker over Russ? I feel like I am, but let me double check. I am. It's close. No, I'll play Russell Wilson against Buffalo. I'll wait. I'll get the Monday Night Mojo. I like Baker's matchup. These are all very close, but I like how. I just want to say that have Howell ranked at 9 or 8 this week, or 9 this week based on volume. So Lawrence right after him at 10. Russell Wilson we have at 13. Mayfield at 15. And as you know, I don't always adhere strictly to the rankings, but I think in this case they're a pretty good guide. What to do with Zach Moss? And when I say I don't stick to the rankings, that's because, we all have our hunches and feelings about players and their matchups, right? But I do like to start with what the algorithm thinks, because the algorithm's really smart, because it takes all this information over time, including this season, but even prior information and matchups against the same team and similar situations, and spits out the rankings based on that. It's been pretty good over the course of time as Evil Catholic has tweaked that thing in over the years we've been doing this. So I have some faith in it, but if you're within a tier, right? I mean, then it's all fair game. I'm allowed to adjust within that tier as I see fit, that's part of the fun of the game, right? So in this case, though, I think the algorithm has it pretty good. Steve Pavia, what to do with Zach Moss? He's got a bye next week, and I need to pick up a kicker for Elliott and or the Dolphins defense for the rest of the season. I probably want to keep Moss. I want to keep a skilled player that has a role over a kicker who's a kicker. Which means, Steve, I'd probably let go of Elliott, right? As he, I feel like I can find a kicker week to week and get by. If you feel like Elliott's that high end for you, I would probably try to find somebody else besides Moss to get rid of. Gus Edwards versus Cleveland or Zach Charbonnet versus Washington PPR. I'm going to go ahead and stick with Gus Edwards, but we all know the deal. He's got to score the touchdowns. If he doesn't, if you don't feel good about it, Kenneth Walker, was injured a couple weeks ago. Charbonnet got more work. He got more work again last week. Walker should be closer to fully healthy this week. I'm guessing he's going to have a more robust role than he has the last 2 weeks, but that's just a guess based on Seattle's history, or at least on Pete Carroll's history of sticking with his primary back to the degree he can. I think Charbonnet's fine. Talk to people who cover the team on a daily basis, and they think Walker is definitely a level ahead of where Charbonnet is. And not to say Charbonnet won't be great, but I think they prefer Walker. So I'm gonna go with Edwards, and I get it. And it looks like it'll be a 3-way split again. And Edwards had the fewest carries of the 3 last week, and it's a tough matchup. So I totally get this. It's a PPR. It's I feel like I'd like to play volume, and I don't know that either of these guys are going to get the volume that I'm looking for. So I'm going to play the guy on a roll, but it has been so touchdown dependent. Neither of them in my rankings are currently running back 2. They're both in the flex level range, and Edwards is ahead. So I'm going to go with that and hope he gets that damn touchdown or 2. Would be great. He's got a lot of touchdowns over the last couple of weeks. Let's see, you guys. So who do we want this? Who do we want for this weekend? Going forward, Noah Brown or Robert Woods? Do we really want Robert Woods? I'm not sure we want. Logically, I want to say yes, Robert Woods. It's been one good game for Noah Brown. Maybe if we go back to prior to his injury, he looked like he was coming on. He looked like he was coming on for Dallas. I think we're he's the kind of the shiny new object. And I probably want that over Woods. I think Woods is got a floor. It maybe depends on what you want, Ann. I think Woods has maybe a semi-reliable floor, and Noah Brown has a huge ceiling like what we just saw last week. 513 rookie, be my coin toss. Non-PPR, Pollard versus New York. I'm going to play Pollard in this one. I'm going to play that volume, and it's not a great defense, and I'm hoping the issue last time they played was obviously there was not a lot of offense because there was nothing but defense, and maybe that's the case again. I'm going to take my chances with Pollard on this one. Let's split. Dame Overboard, Scott Fishbowl. Don't ask me Scott Fish questions. You've seen my record. 2, White, Houston, Flowers, Cleveland, Judy, Buffalo. I would probably avoid Flowers in this case. Five and put there, yes, I would. 513, one more coin flip, non PPR. Ayuk versus Jacksonville or Pittman versus New England. I believe I like Ayuk a little bit more in this one. See how far out of whack I am with the world. So the algorithm likes them 13 and 14, likes Pittman slightly ahead. I like Ayuk. I have Ayuk. It's a bit hunchy for me, but he'd be my pick there. And I could break it all down. You could go to the Football Diehards website. I wrote a whole thing about it. And I do break it down. The explosive play rate has been fantastic. The volume's been there. The only thing that's been lacking is the touchdowns. I think those will come. They get a lot of opportunities in the red zone. I think he'll get his turns. Jay Reed, Shakir, or Woods. And Dunn needs one of those. I mean, Woods would be the floor guy for me, and probably would go Shakir over Reed. I'm just not a fan of the Packers offense. I mean, Reed's been good, and he runs a lot of routes. Appreciate that for him. Just not trusting the offense as much as I'm trusting Buffalo's offense. You heard 513 rookie. You're not dumb, John Cusack. Change is hard for everybody. And needs one PPR with tight end premium. Brandon Cooks, Curtis Samuel, Michael Wilson, or Chig. Brandon Cooks has not been doing much, right? I mean, he's like fifth on the team in targets. Mike, like if Curtis Samuel's playing, I'm playing Curtis Samuel. Is that a late afternoon kickoff? I think it is. Yeah. But you have fallbacks also in the late afternoon window, and Michael Wilson, who is also questionable. Chig is not in the late afternoon window, is he? So that should be a decision you'd have to make in advance. Do you have one more piece that we could be a fallback? I guess Cooks is in the late afternoon window. He could be your final fallback. So okay, yeah, I'd do it that order, and I'd go Samuel if he's available, and then I'd probably go Cooks over Wilson, but just given the matchups and the change of quarterback. Would I dare insert Taysom Hill, says Steve Pavia, at flex and sit Saquon? I've had a lot of thoughts about Saquon. I have big concerns about Saquon going forward. I mean, for the reasons you say, they're horrible. They're playing DeVito at quarterback. There's a lot of things not like. But looking at Barkley's volume the last two games, I mean, he's it. As long as they haven't totally given up and they don't pull him out of the game, I'm probably playing Saquon Barkley over that. I get it. Taysom Hill's averaged about over 15 fantasy points the last handful of games. So just make sure I'm not getting news that we need here on my Dick Tracy wristwatch. And if you don't know who Dick Tracy is, get on your Google device and you'll see him going, oh, what's going on with my watch? It's information, people. It's information. I get it. Steve, again, this is like a super hunchy play on your part. And would I dare? I probably would not dare. I'd probably play the volume. But if I needed more of a swing for the fence play, that if I'm looking at my opponent's lineup and I'm against a stacked murderer's row, I would probably dare. You're counting on those goal line looks though, right? That's what you're counting on. And a couple pass steps and some catches. I mean, all those things coming into place. Golf Boy, non-PPR, sit one, Montgomery at LAC, Pollard versus New York Jets, Jonathan Taylor at New England. I'd probably go ahead and sit Montgomery in this one until I figure out what the timeshare looks like. Hello, Wendy. Hello, JC. Hello, Anton. Need one. Moss, Algier, Curtis Samuel, Gallup, probably Algier in this one, given the matchups. You're welcome, Anton. All right, I got about 10 minutes or so left. I know I was in a little late, so I'll try to get through all these questions before I call it a day here and get on with the rest of my business. All right. Steven, Pickett, Minshew, AOC, or Zach Wilson? AOC is not I probably played Minshew out of this bunch. Probably Minshew. I don't know if I want to play Aiden O'Connell against the Jets. I don't know if and I don't want to play. I don't want to play Zach Wilson ever if I can. I guess Pickett is a fair consideration. I'd go Minshew. Tracy Warwick, super flex. Oh, flex, half point PPR flex. Like I'm reading into things that aren't even existing. George Pickens or Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram's a safer play. Back to Wednesday's question. Saquon, Dallas. I was waiting for this one. Back to Wednesday's question. Saquon or panic and play Addison or Dotson Seattle. I don't think I can bench Barkley. I don't think I could either. I just want to play, again, volume is my. It's the only thing that. I want to just make sure I'm not overstating the case here, but like it's since he's been back from the injury, the numbers have risen, and as the only game in town. So what we had, they weren't great last week, I guess. Had 19 touches last week. That was a down week against Las Vegas. Prior to that, he had 36 against the Jets. He had 21 against Washington. He had 24 carries alone against Buffalo. Had 3 catches in each of the last 3 games before in one of those games. I'm going to go ahead and play Saquon. I just am until the volume runs out, until I see some sign. And it's possible at some point. So my concern is at some point they just say, well, the hell with it, man. Why are we putting him through this? But also, like, he's the only thing they have. Do they want to win games? He's only under contract for this year. He's essentially a rental for them. So it's possible that they want to use him like that. So we'll see. I'm still playing Saquon, Dame. I'm on Team Saquon until he kicks me off. Hi, Shadi. I am the man. I am a man. Full PPR. Kincaid versus Denver or Kittle versus Jacksonville. I'm playing Kincaid. Ooh. Josh Allen's your quarterback. I mean, if you felt like you wanted to break it up a little bit, that's fine. I still have Kincaid rated ahead of Kittle. And it's like not by a ton, right? So I mean, you could say if you want to split it up like that. I have Kincaid as 3. I have Kittle as 5 this week. Kittle's it's the matchup for Denver that seems so appealing. So, but if you did want to split it up, they're close enough that you can get away with that. So there you have it. Kevin Payne has issues listening to my guts. For Brexit. I see what you did there. Very good, very good. Like that's a thing for all of us, though. How many times do you get up on Monday and say, "I knew it. I knew I should have." Right? I mean, that's part of this, and there's nothing the matter with playing your hunches. It sucks when you're wrong, right? And you feel like, oh, I let go of logic, and I should have stuck with logic. Well, I think it's probably a 50-50 proposition, right? We're looking at probabilities here. John Cusack is not here, Wendy Early. It's John Cusack, although I'm pretty impressed with John Cusack as well. No offense, but I kind of prefer the Rob Bob Harris to the real desk. I can't pound on my virtual desk. I can't. There's a desk here. I can pound on it for sure. Thank you. John Cusack is cool too. He is totally cool, and he has a question. Flexbot, Kirk versus Noah Brown versus Dubs. Okay, so I'm playing Christian Kirk in this one. I play him in the order you got him, John. I think this is a pretty solid matchup for the slot corner for the San Francisco 49ers. Not going great guns this year. 49ers defense, there's a reason they've lost 3 games in a row. Right. And there's a reason Steve Wilkes is changing the way he's doing his defensive play calling, coming down the side. Their defense has been an issue. Look, they still get after the passer. They're still good against the run. They're not doing great against the pass. I'm playing Kirk. Wendy Early in a guillotine would you be apprehensive to play any Cowboys? They have Lamb and Pollard, maybe a blowout, and they sit them. It's possible, but if it is a blowout, they were part of the reason it's a blowout. This is the Mike Dempsey, my co-host on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. School of thought here, and it's true, right? I mean, if a team gets up by 10 points now, in Dallas's case, as we saw the first year, maybe it's the defense gets them up big, and so it's a concern. But I mean, I'd have to know the options, Wendy. But I wouldn't know. I think that's like taking it to that's playing 5D chess, and we only need 4D chess. I think that's what I think. All right, see if I can get through everything. Hello, everybody. I see people coming in I haven't seen before. Hi, Don Smarter. Hi, Patrick G. Mafia. How is everyone? All right, let me get through these before I call it a day. And I'll stay a few minutes late today because I started a few minutes late because of technical issues. So, flex Brandon Powell. I think you meant Brandon Powell versus Norris. You did. Or Tyler Collins. Versus, yes. I think you mean Tyler Conklin. Yeah, I played Conklin in that one. Irwin or Gabe Davis? I'm probably playing Gabe Davis, Steve. And the concern would be if Stephon Diggs doesn't play, that he gets maybe the Patrick Surtain treatment, but I don't think he will. Irwin's a fine play, but I don't think I don't need to. I'm not gonna. I feel like that's almost outsmarting myself. Gabe Davis has been pretty solid this year. He does have some disappearing games. But yeah, Davis for me. More confidence. I think Irwin was fine when he did play, though. John Fusick, Flex Powell versus New Orleans, or Robert Woods versus Cincinnati. At running back, I'm desperate. Cook versus Las Vegas. Dalvin. Pierre Strong versus Baltimore. Craig Reynolds. It would be Dalvin Cook, and I would keep my expectations very low. I mean, Pierre Strong is listed as questionable. So, that's a concern. Really tough matchup. Craig Reynolds now falls to third on the pecking order. Cook is at least second on the pecking order. It has not been good, right? So, you've got your expectations set. I'm flexing Robert Woods. Would you trade Ridley and James Cook to receive Mixon? If I was really hurting at running back, yes. And if you're starting James Cook every week, I don't know. That's pretty close if you're starting, What are we getting out of these guys right now? Let's take a quick look. On the year, Mixon has been rising up. I mean, honestly, to this point, it's been almost even between them. You're probably giving up too much. I'd probably just keep playing James Cook. Although, the Fournette in the mix could skew the dynamic. I still think you're giving up too much, Matt C. Pedro, thoughts on Trenton Irwin if Chase and Boyd play? If Chase and Boyd both play. I think Irwin has been effective in that role as well. And so I think he can be effective. And I think if you're in a pinch, I would play him. I'm starting Pittman over McLaurin, although I do like the volume for McLaurin in that passing offense. I think they'll be just fine. Pittman slight lean to him in this one. The Patriots pass defense not playing great either. Just see how big of a separation there is there. Yeah, they're like ranked consecutively. So you could take your pick. It's a really good, Dotson's back. Curtis Samuel a little beat up, but he should be back too. I mean, it's pretty damn close, man. It's pretty close. I'm having a hard time. My initial reaction was Pittman, and I'm a big McLaurin guy, David. But and just to be clear, the Reiki, it's 12 and 13 McLaurin Pittman in our algorithm. I have a lean to Pittman myself, but it's that close. Gabe Davis versus Denver, says Mr. Scampers, or Flowers versus Cleveland. I'd lean Gabe as well. Because, of course. Pedro, what are my thoughts on Murray McBride duo for this week? I guess you're thinking maybe they need to dump it off a little bit more, or, that's like I'm trying not to go overboard on my, hey, I want to dial back on Murray and the pieces around him, because it's not true. I still want to play Marquise Brown. I think he's a familiar face for Murray, and maybe I'm overstating the case for Murray, having not played for almost a year, 330 some days, in a new offense that he's never played in before. I mean, he's been working in it, and he's been working with the team all along. So, I'd be hoping for the best there. And I'd be hoping for the best for McBride for this week and beyond. I think it'll be fine as it goes forward. Look, McBride's been really good. There is no Zach Ertz right now. And even when there was Zach Ertz, McBride was coming on. So I feel great about the beyond. I'd like to wait and see what it looks like this week. But if you don't have better options, it's still viable. Dobbs or Murray, Hurts on bye. I own Addison and JJ. I would probably play I'd probably play Murray over Dobbs, though. You're already getting a piece of Dobbs with Addison. I mean, honestly, I kind of feel like Dobbs' value is going to come more from his rushing than his passing right now. And I'm hoping he can carry that over. And Justin Jefferson is going to be just fine in the future. I mean, playing this week, if I'm looking forward, you're going to play Hurts every week going forward. It doesn't matter. So I'd probably rather have Murray and see how it goes. Patrick G. Mafia. Colts or Bengals defense this week. I'm probably going to play. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna. I don't know that I want to pick on CJ Stroud these days. I feel like not. I feel like I'm gonna go with the Colts here. Hello, Patrick G Mafia. Currently rostering Hurts and Murray. Yeah, yeah. I think you've got the right duo in there. Andrea, Ferguson versus the New York Giants or Schultz versus Cincinnati. I'm playing Schultz all day long in this one, Andrea. Ferguson's been great, and that's the Giants are obviously aren't doing anything. Bengals have not done much against tight ends at all either, and Schultz has been on the rise. Don Smart, would you rather Deshaun Watson versus Ravens or Minshew versus Patriots? I would rather Minshew versus the Patriots myself. Hello, Larry Blake. I gotta know, is that reverse headstock Jackson a Solos? It's a dinky. Bob, what happened to your gardeners? You fired them? No. So this is the off week for the gardeners. They were here last week, but they came later in the day because the weather's cooler, right? So they aren't as trying to get up in my business as much. You're welcome, Patrick. Thank you as always. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everybody. Steve had the same question. Deference to beauty. Defense beauty. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks always. Thanks, Mr. Scamper. Thanks, John. And we'll get this all dialed in here. We'll probably be doing live streams more like this going forward. So hang in there. We'll get it all sorted out and be a little more organized for you next time. And until then, I appreciate everyone coming as always. You can catch me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio tonight from 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Billy Musio from Player Profile will be joining us. Jamie Calandro from here at the website will be joining us to discuss his DFS plays of the week. And we'll have all kinds of cool stuff. I'll be on tomorrow on the pregame show with Jeff Mans from 11 to 1. We'll have some information that some of you will want to know based on the questions that you asked here. And then next week, back on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, Monday, Thursday, Friday, 10 p.m. each night, 3 hours on Monday and Thursday, as we consider the horrible games that they've been presenting us with. What are the games? What's the Thursday game coming up this week? What is the Thursday game? It's it didn't look as bad. Anyway, appreciate y'all coming. We will see you here. I'll be here Wednesday night. I'll see you then.